Good day, folks. This is Shippy the Explorer. Alright, coming to you from Bladensburg, Maryland. The Anacastia River Trail. Bladensburg Waterfront Park. Washington, D.C. Aqua Gardens 2 miles. Navy Yard 8 miles. Star Spangled Banner Interpretive Trail. So, folks, it's a lovely day, and as we explore the trails of Maryland and Prince George's Country, I take the opportunity to really show you that if you come to this country, there's a lot to see, So we're going over the Anacastia River, and you can see the residual deposits of sand. Hello. Morning. Good. And on this side you can see the birds just enjoying the water. And if you look down there, it's some form of a lock where they would, if the water level, I think, gets too high, then you will have these locks. They'll probably shut down and prevent the water from coming into the river. And then as the river level gets lower, I guess they open those locks and allows water to flow in. But if you look over into the hills over there, Bladensburg was an agricultural, basically an agricultural center, mainly for tobacco. And but if you know the history of tobacco, it depletes the soil quite a bit. So after years and years of planting tobacco and farming in this region, the soil got depleted and lost its nutrients. Hi, morning. Right. Good. I'm a new blogger.
Oh, really? Okay.
Shippy the Explorer.
What is it?
Shippy the Explorer.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's all right.
So I'm encouraged that I travel so much that I shouldn't waste all these moments.
That's what we were just talking about.
Yes.
Owning your time and stuff like that. Like,
yes.
Yeah, in order to be successful, you can't work for somebody else and think you're gonna be great. You have to own your time and be pour into yourself.
Yes. So I'm not even doing it for. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm doing it for historical reasons.
Okay.
Like
That's
I
awesome.
got up last night and I said, "What about Bladensburg? I'm right here."
See, that's awesome. That's good. Yeah.
There's a lot of history here.
It
lot
is.
of history.
It is.
A lot of people don't realize.
All right, my brother.
Thank you.
Like you say.
Yes. So as I said before, those first were kind to talk. Look at the birds. Oh my. They're not even scared of human being. He or she's just looking at me. And look, well fed. Because as I said, there's food in the river. So if you look down, the river is wide but it's not as deep. And as I said before, that's why the British chose this spot to come across. But today we're talking about the area of Bladensburg. And the river, if you look, it flows down towards Washington. And as it gets bypass Washington, this river joins the Potomac River. And the Potomac River runs into the Chesapeake Bay, and that Chesapeake Bay runs into the Atlantic Ocean. So a lot of waterways in the United States, folks. As I said before, so much to explore. Later on in the summer, I'll come down here and I can show you the eagles, the national bird of America. They feed along this river area, because believe it or not, there's a tremendous amount of fish that comes up through the Chesapeake Bay, up these streams, and they go up into the hinterland to pawn or to lay eggs and breed. If you look down, you can see some of the whole dock posts. So barges and boats, I wouldn't say ships, used to come up this river, folks, and they would come up and at the port of Bladensburg they would collect cured tobacco and maize and corn. And believe it or not, this, folks, there's a sad part to this old area, that it was an historical predominantly slave area. And that history I don't know, but until today, the great house is up on top of the hill. There are aspects where you can see the slave prisons, and we want to say, folks, I want to say, sooner or later, maybe sooner, we have to starting to give credit to the Africans who were brought to this land by force. But after a while, some of the slaves became complacent and realized that they could not go back to Africa. So might as well they just stay and work. Some did rebel and tried to escape. But eventually, the point is that collectively, the slaves that were brought here have contributed tremendously to the development of this country. And whether the Europeans, the slave owners, they also contribute in their sense that by them trying to be rich from this new land, they enslaved these folks. They did become rich. They became rich. But very little credit has been attributed to the slaves that were brought into this country. And this month is February. It's called Black History Month. And I want to say on this tape that we honor the forefathers who toiled, who labored, who cried, who died on this land. Their backs were whipped, their legs, their Achilles tendon were cut because they ran away. Some of the mothers were, pregnant women were slashed and beaten and killed because, you know, they also ran away, or they refused to had sex with the boss or the plantation owners. So many atrocities took place. But at the same time, they work and they built the plantation, they slash this land and they burn and they cut trees and they cleared land and they farmed and they dreamed of going back to their homeland. And they were aware that as the ships sailed out of the west coast of Africa and they looked back and they saw the sun rising in the east, they knew that they had gone west. So many mornings and nights they looked east in hope that they would one day return to their motherland. But a lot, they haven't returned. A lot haven't returned. It's just now, well, not just now, but with the effort of Marcus Garvey, the Black Star Liner, and even before that, some slaves were sent back to Sierra Leone and Liberia to reestablish Liberia, and also the Freetown in Sierra Leone was taken over. And that's where in 1807, when the British said that no more slaves should be brought out of Africa, we are gonna ban the shipment of slaves. So Freetown was established. So any ship that the British Navy found on the waters and they captured it, the slaves that were there, they were taken right back and set free at Freetown. So in Freetown, West Africa, Sierra Leone, you have some slaves. Some that they weren't slaves then, they were captured folks from Africa. They were set free there. And then later on, there's an history where the Maroons fought over 76 years of war with the British soldiers in Jamaica and in Suriname. I'm not sure how extensive that the war was in Suriname, but the Maroons of Jamaica fought, and eventually one segment or one group of the Maroons in Jamaica were captured and taken through United States, through Canada, and eventually they were taken back to Africa. There's another group that history will tell you that when the British came and fought the American government, or the Americas, I think it's 1776 war, the British put word out that any slave who wants to free themselves and come and fight on the British side against their slave masters were gonna be freed. So hundreds of those slaves ran away and joined the British army. Some of them eventually, this is history, folks, some of those slaves, there were so many that when the British left, they took some over into Canada, and they took some, believe it or not, to England. While they were in England, they were mistreated again, and it was cold. So here they are on the streets of London and also the things looking dingy, and the citizens complain and says we can't allow these Africans to be here in this condition. We want them out of the society. These people were either rounded up or encouraged to be taken to Africa. And here again, that was another movement. Some Africans eventually reached back the land, the continent of Africa. Whether they settled in Liberia or Sierra Leone or nearby countries, but they went back. And I think part of those contingency was used to establish the country of Liberia, because if you know the history, Liberia was basically started by America. But the unfortunate thing, as far as from history, is that those same, well, I should be positive, those former slaves who were taken to Liberia, they established schools and hospitals and became professionals. So if you go to Liberia and Sierra Leone, there are sections where you have that those two countries had some of the top educational institutions for a period of time. People who were all over Africa and maybe Europe would go to schools there. But eventually there is conflict, especially in Liberia, where the descendants of former slaves and people who came from Americas, there's a conflict between them and the locals, and eventually it ended up in a war affair. So, but then some people went back because of the encouragement of Marcus Mosiah Garvey from Jamaica with the Black Star Line movement. But the point I'm trying to make, folks, is that the history, especially now, if anybody watching this is Shippy the Explorer bringing history to you. The month of February is designated as the Black History Month. And we want to talk about the contribution of, we call ourselves African American now. And that's another point. The older folks, maybe somebody who is 70, 80 years old in the Americas, would call themselves Negro or black, right? So a person, this is interesting because a person, if you realize, the whole African American experience is people have been called many things. Have been called slaves, Negroes, blacks, I'm at a standstill because I wanted to line them up, but let me say African American. So seems like who is giving us, or who is giving those names? Where did all those names come from? Is it the government that's imposing those names on the people? Huh? I'm not sure. Where are all those names coming from? I certainly. So it shows that it's so unstable. You know, Chinese are called Chinese, Italians are called Italians, English are called English. But when it comes to African Americans or blacks, we're all over the place. We're either black, we're African Americans, or Negroes, or slave, black man. You know, it's about time that if you want to say African Americans or blacks who have been uprooted from Africa, we need to come with one solid name where we call ourselves. And maybe that one word is African. It's about time, folks. We are African. Whether we are dark as myself or as light as chalk or mix. But if you have any ounce of blood that you're connected to Africa, you're Africans. Because at this day now, we can only depict basically where in Africa we are from. I myself have done the test, and I'm found out that I am Timni by mother. Mitochondrial DNA as point to Timni. And if you know the history of the Timni, they originally came out of Senegal as they run away and move away from the Mendes. But the point I'm making, America is rich and vibrant, and we have to give credit to all the citizens of this country for developing a remarkable country. But we also have to acknowledge that bulk of the wealth of this country has been derived on the backs of millions of Africans, slaves, and some indigenous slavery folks out of Europe. But predominantly, this country, the foundation, has an element of black or African American in the foundation. And that brings up another thing. There's not one war that has fought in this country that African Americans have not contributed to. So on the banks of overlooking the Anacastia River, the birds are free and happy. So I show you that there are swamps. On the shores, as the river floods and the water height comes higher, there are the banks where you can see the grass. And we are walking over this Longfoot Bridge. Good. Morning.
Morning, how you doing,
Good,
man?
good. All right. Good. All right, Skip. All right. Now I'm on the eastern side of the river, and we're exploring the banks of the Anacastia River in Bladensburg. And it's a blessing to see how the area is developed. You have rails, protective rails, we have benches, and on a lovely day like this you can enjoy the scenery. All right, man. All right, cool. Can you imagine on a summer you bring your family here, the gazebos and playground for the kids. Wow. A couple of years ago, we stood down here and watched a man brought in almost a 8-pound fish. And when he brought it, he dragged it from over there and he fought with it, and when it finally reached here, he brought it up on the bank here, and believe it or not, he released it. My wife was saying, man, give it to us, but I didn't want that fish. It looks too big to be eaten. So the river has it has life in it. If we didn't have life, you wouldn't have these birds down here. And as the temperature rises, it gets warmer, you'll find that people come down and fish, a lot more fishermen. So whether the state, or I'm not sure if it's a state, but they're actually trying to improve the area and make it fun for the families. So if you live in the area, folks, Shippy the Explorer is saying Bladensburg Park, Waterfront Park, is an interesting place you can come and hang out, either now or when it gets warmer. It's a lovely place. We need to use it more. Now you have the waterfront studio, and it's available for rent. Can you believe that? Let's show the rent. Oh, so this area is being developed by the Park and Recreation Office of Maryland, Prince George's County. Prince George's Marina, Anacastia River Basin. So you can actually rent this building. You can have maybe a small daytime party or a wedding. And here's a pavilion you can also rent. Or I don't sure if you can rent this, but if your family can buy some box food or and come down with your family. There's some folks enjoying it already right now. You can come down and sit down and eat. And I think if for the homeless, I think there's a shower facility around here. They can see a gentleman inside. He can even charge his equipment. There's a charging station. So they know how to survive. There we go. So some people knows that this place is a wonderful place to be. So from Bladensburg, folks, if you're a boat enthusiast, you can take your boat into the river from way up in Maryland here. And show you the release. We'll probably reach down to the release docks. And this is another area where I've seen the kayaks or canoeing. There's a canoeing sports that takes place here. Let's see this plaque. This plaque may tell you something. It's clean and nice, folks, believe it or not. This is talk about the Bladensburg floods, 1742, 1750. Floods were practically a way of life in Bladensburg until the late 1950s, when an intensive flood control project was completed. Noted attorney and author William Worth, who was born in Bladensburg in 1772, makes mention of the floods at Bladensburg in his unfinished autobiography. Wow. History, folks. You can see there's a flood picture that depicts the flood. So over here is a fishing pier. We can come and fish, throw your lines out. It says no unpermitted grilling, no alcohol, no amplified music, leash law enforced. That means you must have chain or a rope or something on your dogs and cats. And do not feed the birds. Those are the rules. And they should add another one, no trash should be thrown in the river. Here's one of the old cannon. Well, this doesn't seem like one of the old ones. Well, it seems like it's real. They must have refurbished it because it's quite heavy. Wow. So that's the fishing pier, folks. And this is the kayaking release barge right there. Kayaking is a long boat, slender, and maybe 15 people on it. They row. In England or so, and in Scandinavian countries, some in America too. You can see there's a sport. I'm not even sure if it's part of the Olympics, but there's sports where you can race on the river. And we have water boats for excursion. We have a section of the whole B&O railway system. And here, folks, is where if you're rich and have a boat, you can come with your boat on a trailer and back it into this area and we'll unhook it and go and park your truck in the park up there, and then you're down and you can go for a good ride on the river. Water, Anacastia watershed, a floating filter. Floating and filtering. Oops. Damn. Almost tripped. This is sport boating. I guess you can come down and rent one of these. Well, I can imagine. I don't imagine me getting a boat and going to water, because I'm not a swimmer. I know only Christ walked on water with his friend Peter, and those are the two that were successful in doing that. So I stay away from water as much as possible. But if you're on a boat and you have your protective gear, you can feel comfortable. And if it's a party boat and you're having friends and thing with you and you're enjoying the weather, and it's can be fun. Have a drink, you can have food, you have music, and certainly can enjoy this great body of water. Don't leave it up to the birds alone, folks. Anacastia. Or the Bladensburg waterfront is here for you to enjoy. That's called the Anacastia Watershed Society. So they have their own equipment that they can go up and down the water coast and investigate the quality of water, the wildlife, the fish, the fish life, what is there, what quality of life they have, what condition they're in. You know, they test the alkalinity of the water and test how, you know, if there's any bacteria in it, and they put out if the bacteria gets too high, they put out a warning that you're not supposed to swim in this water. And that might still be the case, although the water, the quality of the water has improved a lot. But that might still be the case. So bring your boat, folks. Those of you who are millionaires or billionaires or just here's, bring your boats and bring it to the water, the Anacastia River. Unhook it and enjoy. Now here's a man that is here with a van load of dogs. It's amazing. They're gonna certainly have a fun. Can you imagine running of all this land space? Here is the Bladensburg office hours, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. waterfront park. I guess you can go in and ask them questions about these are the excursion boats. Right. That's part of the trail. You see people going zipping through here. These are the big excursion boats. They go on the water and you maybe have 15, 20 people. You can come as a family. These are some big engines, Mercury 90 CT. Wow. 4-stroke engines. One engine, folks, pushing this big thing. B&O Railway Company. It's Baltimore and Ohio Railway Corporation, and this is one of the whole trolleys they must have gotten procured from the company, and it's here in Bladensburg, folks. B&O, Baltimore and Ohio. Oops. There we go. Wow. Wow. I think they're happier than us. Muy feliz, huh? Muy feliz. Oh my gosh. Oh yes. Yes, I know you're happy. Oh gee. Such a lovely day. Dogs are happy. Oh, here are the boats, folks. Long boats. All right. So I'm taking you to another section. Now we're on the trail, the waterfront trail that you can walk or ride. Towards Washington. Alright. So one trail goes up that section, and one trail is running this way. One trail is running this way. As you can see, all the little tributaries or drains, they're coming from up into the farm area, original farm area, the town area, and everything drains towards the Anacastia or the Potomac. There's one big watershed that's called the Chesapeake Bay watershed, and it drains, as I said before, it drains a tremendous amount of water out of the eastern part of the United States. That sports must be popular because these are dozens of boats, kayaking, canoeing. I think it's canoeing. Wow. So in summertime it must be busy down here. It's a hawk. Maybe we can see an eagle. Maybe later. That looks like an eagle there. Well, we have been exploring, folks. Shippy the Explorer. Here's another bridge that takes you over the water. So this section of water, oh, look at that, folks. I think that's an egret or a crane. Look how beautiful it is. Wow. And it was right there in the quiet. Nobody saw it. You just have to look, folks. And it's staying still because it's trying to find, I'm gonna go back a little and see if I can get close to it. It was right there and I didn't see it. And it's lovely. So fish must be in this water. There you go. It's in good health. Great health. It's not starved for nothing. She walked. Look up whatever. Looking up water birds. of Maryland. Yes, this is called the the blue heron. See if I can get a better picture. Blue heron. So that's the blue heron, folks. Get a better picture of it.
Passing on the left.
Good. All right. Good, good. All right. There we go, folks. The blue heron. So that's what we're seeing. Oh, it's probably, by the time we turn around, it's gone. Wow. I think Prince George's County citizens are missing something, folks. All right. You can imagine you get lunch and you come down here, you hang out on the waterfront, enjoy the water. Wow. I'm here living 40 years in this area. I didn't know that all this exists. We could really come down and enjoy. So hopefully I'm exposing it to a certain extent to you. It's amazing. Did not know this exists. Wow. Can do fishing, can boating, can do boating. So this river really has improved. Today it's clean and looks like if it wasn't that cold, you could probably swim in it. So they might have lifted the blockage where they said no swimming. And in the summer, wow. I'm here to say today, folks, that the Anacastia River has really improved. So great not to see a lot of trash in the river, garbage, the ubiquitous plastic. I wish we could just ban. And they have trash bins. You don't have to throw your garbage on the this is called the story of trees. Wow. It's trees and shrubs. Those are the tulips, sweet gum, red maple, spice bush, river birch, northern oak, American beech, American sycamore, Virginia pine, common buttonbush, and more honeysucker. That's the one we're trying to get rid of. More honeysucker. I think it was introduced. I'm not sure if it is native. I think it was introduced to this area, and has become very invasive. Smells great, but it's prolific, if that's a word. It drops its seeds and grows every year. It expands its area, and it grows into a big bush too, but it seems to destroy anything around it. It takes over the whole area. There's another wood path. This is part of the bike trail, folks. Wow, and it's used quite a lot. As you can see, every few minutes or so there's somebody on a bike coming through here. Wow, how far this goes. Wow. So what they have done, folks, is built a wood path deck over the swamped area of the riverbank. That takes you down towards Washington along the banks of the Anacastia River. This is interesting. Wow. And there we are, some concerted effort to plant new trees to, when these come up and they get large, you can see it as they're trying to replace the old ones that have died. So land reclamation and park and planning, and citizens, some of it is volunteer and some of it, I'm sure it's experimental in conjunction with the university to see what can they plant to reclaim the land. And I forgot to tell you folks, up on the banks there, the train tracks run through here, this valley. The cargo train. Wow. Well, since I'm on foot, folks, I'll go the other way because there's so much I can do. But hopefully I've been exploring and enjoying this bit of presentation, folks. I'm taking you places that you may not be able to come, but if you're anywhere in the world, you can enjoy it with me and realize that this world is a complex creation, and a lot is going on. These almost look like the reeds of the Nile on the banks. I'm not sure if they're the same thing. But it has been a lovely morning, and I think it's afternoon now. You have been with me for a few minutes, and I'm hoping that oh, there's other crows. They're talking among themselves, really discussing where they're going, having a good conversation. We as human beings, we're not the only one who talk, folks. I think even animals have a way of communicating. So here you are, Anacastia Park, River Park in Bladensburg, Maryland. And as I broadcast, I said I would say thanks for being with us, folks, as you hope you have been educated and entertained, and Shippy the Explorer explores another aspect of this great creation: history, nature. You know, I try to bring you some of that with as much limited knowledge that I have. But hope you have enjoyed. So Shippy the Explorer saying thanks for watching, and bye for now until another great exploration. The Anacastia, Bladensburg waterfront, for your enjoyment. How lovely, how calm, how peaceful.